Welcome back to my YouTube channel. That is so fun. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Grappling in the Gray with Naledi Create, and today we're grappling with my stylistic journey. So I was having a live session on Instagram earlier this week, and because I'd already planned to do this vlog for today's post, I figured it would be like a lit thing to like combine the two, because what you'll see in the vlog is a lot of like thrift energy, a lot of just like dope vibes in terms of thrifting and vibes, right? So you'll see a few items that I engage with, and they'll give you an idea of my fashion sense or my style journey at the moment, where I am in terms of styling myself and what I wear and how I wear it. So the conversation I had with Felicia had me thinking about how a lot of like my upbringing, or a lot of the time I spent in school, how people engaged me, whether it was at church, at home, whatever, actually influenced my style journey, right? So that's kind of like what I want to grapple with today and where I'm at in terms of that. So just to give you context, because I really like context. As you know from the previous video, which you should definitely watch if you haven't already, I'm a non-binary individual, right? So I'm neither woman or man, right? So that's something I've always been, but I haven't had the language to articulate that, right? So what that then looks like or translates into in everyday sense is that growing up, I was raised as a girl. So I guess like we'd have to then start off with the ideas or the regulations that exist in schooling systems, and we're just going to grapple or like just chat about my journey when I was in school, as far as my memory can remember, right? So when I was a kid, right, I went to a multiracial school, which had sports shorts, right? So on sports day, I'd have to wear shorts. But the thing with me is I played soccer with the gents every morning, right? Actually, that's grade 3. Let's start with grade 1 or 2. In grade 1 or 2, I hang out with the girls and I'm like, guys, but I feel like shorts would be so cool. Why don't we ask our parents to buy us gray shorts? We wear gray socks and our normal fits, man, golf t-shirt and normal shoes. And the girls are like, that's a dope. I have no idea where I took the krach or the strength to caucus 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds, but somehow it happened. And yeah, the girls and I rock up next, I think about a week later or like a few days later, in shorts and golf t-shirts and gray long socks. And I'm just like, we should have taken pictures, but it's fine, let's call up. But we are on fire, we're feeling ourselves, we're breaking the rules. And obviously that didn't end well, right? So that's my first memory of feeling like I didn't belong in the narrative or in the rules of what a girl should dress like. I always felt like these boundaries can be pushed, like I just don't fit into the skirt every day, and like every day, right? So fast forward to grade 3, which was a couple of years later. I'm like, oh, shorts are school colors. I play soccer every morning. Now the gents, when I'm in a skirt, feel uncomfortable playing because somehow we actually teach our kids to say clothes mean something. But anyway, so the gents are always on my case. So I'm a lady, Jale, how we gonna play, dog? We need you in our team. We need you in our team. So I start wearing the sports shorts, right? On days that are not sports days. So this starts getting tense for the teachers because it's like, no, man, this person is finding a way to screw the system up, right? But so that's my second memory, like my second most defined memory in terms of like finding myself functionally, like even if I was not genderqueer, right? Functionally, as a kid that liked sports, that is seen as a girl, it just didn't work for me and my personality and who I am, right? So like that's a place where even now I'm just kind of like functionally it just didn't make sense at the time. And also internally it didn't make sense because being a girl was just really not a thing and skirts were really uncomfortable. So yeah, so that was the journey. And I think from primary school, those 4 years that were left of primary school, I kind of like always got into trouble for doing the pants thing. Winter, of course, was the favorite season because during winter girls could wear pants because it was cold. So yeah. Okay. So yeah, my battery died, guys. The camera battery died on me. But we back, and I think I was still talking about how crazy it was then to be like in and out of trouble because pants were a thing. And yeah, so fast forward to high school. I wanted to jump straight to university, but fast forward to high school. The only way I kind of like enforced my sense of non-binariness like was my hair, man. Like, but we'll definitely do a video on that in terms of my hair journey and whatnot. But that was like the one time was like, yo, committed to like saying screw the system, right? But yeah, so throughout high school it was the same thing. I had to be in a tunic, and I played sports, so you can imagine even the sports gear was basically gendered, so that was tense. But yeah, winter was still a thing. Then in matric, finally, I was in matric and I could wear pants from day one. So I was really excited about that. And I shared this in the live I told you guys about earlier. I was like, there was a friend of mine, and she was like straight up lesbian, like unapila her best life. You get me? So she would just be like, yo, bruh, wena. Hey, you. She knew my business, but she kind of like assumed that I was butch, stud, that type of energy. But I always knew that I wasn't that because I didn't feel like I wanted a lot of the masculine or the masculinity that came with it, but I also knew that there's something about it that draws me closer because I also knew I wasn't feminine, right? So that was like kind of like the one place. Matric was the one place where I was like in huge conflict in terms of how, in terms of what the school demanded of me to look like and how I actually wanted to look, right? So that was tricky, but we got out of high school, guys. Yeah, and we went to university. And university was interesting because I think in my first year, I explored a lot of my femininity. One, because nobody knew me, right? Nobody knew me. I was so happy about that. And I say this because even when I left primary school, I was very excited about the prospect of nobody else knowing me in high school. That, yeah, man, like I always have like, it excites me that nobody knows you because I think when people know you, they attach their expectations and their experiences of you that they carry from who you were and they bring them into who you are now. And that's usually not true of who you are at the time or who you want to become, right? So I always like the idea of newness. So yeah, university comes through and yo, I was in crops. I was in crops and skinnies. Like, listen, I was doing the most because I felt I had the chance to like define my own style journey. We're gonna try and find pictures to add them somewhere here when this video comes out, right? But yeah, so university was very, very fun. Specifically the first year, I had a lot of feminine clothes that I was like, I definitely want to try this out in this space because nobody knows me. And also I'm really excited about knowing myself. So that was an interesting time and an interesting space to be in terms of my style. And the more I grew into relationships and into my queerness, the more I was like, actually, I really fucks with masculine clothing. And yeah, so that was dope, and that was like very, very, very fun. Yeah, so getting into like masculine clothing, and I guess being more comfortable, and this leads me back to an experience I had when I was a kid, right? And we went shopping with my little sister. My mom had given us some cash, and yo, I bought these fire boots, right? But when I got back home, everyone was so like, but when it's guys, everyone was like bored because I grew up in like a family house, for the most part. And people were kind of like, you had so much, like budget there, how would have gotten you so much stuff if you just sticked to the feminine aisles. Like, why did you go buy guy boots, right? And I was so happy with the purchase. But when I came back home, I had to like have this conflict where I'm like, yo, why is everyone angry? Like, it's alarm. And, you know, so that created a lot of self-doubt in terms of my style. So when I went to varsity, like I had some sort of license to kind of like explore it to whatever extent I wanted to. And of course, I still carried a lot of like the crop tops, pumps. Yo, my God. I used to own like Boma 6-8 pairs of pumps. I can't even stand pumps, right? Like I can't even look at pumps today. But yeah, varsity, I had like gang pumps. I had like a couple of sneakers, but pumps, you'd see me in pumps all day, right? So that was the style. So I was unlearning the feminine, the automated, like feminine sense of style, and moving into what does it look like then if I buy more sneakers? What does it look like if I wear a tank top and sag my pants? I'm curious about what that feels like, you know? And that was interesting because at the time I had just left. So when I left varsity, I think this is an important part to add into the story. I know I'm regressing, but in between matric, or in between university and my grade 10, I was kind of like in full-time ministry at the time, right? So I was a full-blown Christian, and what that meant is I was a preacher. I wasn't a preacher's kid. I was the preacher, right? And a lot of the times, what will happen, because there's so many men in Christianity that preach, so many young boys, is that if you are not a boy, like there's this huge sense of attention that comes towards you because you're the first female, you're the first woman, you are the first, right? So there's that type of energy and that type of aesthetic that, yeah, so that is there's like a certain aesthetic attached to you. Whereas before those specific years, when I was just like another youth member, I was like just dancing in the church or whatever, like there was no attached aesthetic to how I should look, because now I'm like a representative of the gospel. But not just that, I'm now a representative of how you should look and how you should present yourself. So yeah, that was like crazy in terms of that time frame. So definitely I wilded out in terms of controlling my aesthetic, in terms of not being in dresses in my first year. And in my second year, I went more into, more shorts. That was definitely my energy. And yeah, man, so I think in university, I gathered a lot of like confidence to wear masculine clothes. Just to like wear more masculine clothes in mainstream setups like the classroom, like church, right? Because as a kid, in my casual sense, I was always in like, what do you call those? Cargo pants. I was always in cargo pants, in t-shirts, in body warmers. But like in formal setups, there'd be like a wild change because of the expectations that were set, because of the gaze from the church, from the leadership. Yo, I remember this one time I come back from university, I'm in my jeans, I'm wearing a shirt, I rock up to church. There's this woman at church not pull me to the side and be like, yo, Naledi, Wanaka, what's it about Chaba Shebile Wena? Okay, okay, the whole time I'm like, sis, if there's anything God cares about, if anything is wrong, it's the fact that I'm queer. But also we'll do that in terms of when I do coming out video or coming out series. But like I'm in like my head like thinking, no mama, and like does she hear God or is she making it up and attaching God's name to it? So like yeah, that's how tense it would get going back to church, having kind of like developed a more masculine, more comfortable with pants type energy, full on, and like, you know, kind of being unapologetic in that sense, but also wearing more masculine tops as well. Because I think my aesthetic has always been pants in my later years of high school when I was at church. But I try and balance it out with more, you know, with certain types of tops that still say, I'm a girl, don't be alarmed. So yeah, that was an interesting transition. And yeah, at the moment, like I think I'm coming to a place where I'm finding like a balance, and I'm finding my tone in terms of how I want to look. My everyday vibe is definitely shorts, shirts. My everyday vibe is definitely shorts and t-shirts. And my everyday non-housed aesthetic is always, I try and throw in a shirt everywhere because I really like shirts. But yeah, so I grew into that type of fashion. But yeah, so my favorite items, top 3 items, are definitely shorts. Okay, let's start off with what I'm wearing actually, but we're gonna do a bit of a view. I love this beanie. Like, I wear it every week, maybe 3 times a week. Like, I wear this beanie a lot because I really like it. It goes with everything. I'm really leaning into headgear. Like, I'm leaning into getting more beanies, into getting more caps. I've actually invested in more caps now. And yeah, so like just kind of getting more into that. I don't know, like this specific beanie feels like an extension of my head. Like, it's weird not to wear it. And if I'm not wearing it, I'm wearing a cap. But that goes with the fact that, like, I don't know what I want to do with my hair at the moment. So that could be a thing. But yeah, so I'm always wearing something on my head at the moment. So that's definitely my everyday aesthetic. I'm always wearing a t-shirt. A lot of the t-shirts I wear, like this one, was made by my dad, right? So I think, was it his or was it mine? I don't know. It happens a lot where I take his t-shirts, right? So this is a t-shirt my dad made for himself. So I have a lot of t-shirts from my dad and a lot of like short-sleeved shirts that he made for himself. And somehow they ended up in my wardrobe. I don't know. They just made their way there. And I'm always wearing shorts. I have a couple that I really like that are from my late uncle's collection. And yeah, they're really dope shorts. I have a couple from my dad. And I just keep buying shorts. Like, I really like shorts. And yeah, so those are like the 3 items that I think make my wardrobe. And then in terms of like a more cold, it's not as warm as I'd like it to be, I always go for the more formally thrift energy pants, like classic oldies, man, like vintage vibes. That's definitely the type of pants that I like. But sometimes I'll get into Refinery and buy a pair of nice pants and yeah, run away because I don't want to spend that much money again. And then obviously jeans. I've gone into buying more jeans from the guy side in the last few years, mostly because of the fit and mostly because of guys, ladies side, it's like disappointing. Like, there's no range in the sense that every second pair of jeans are skinny jeans, and it's like, no. So yeah, I've definitely gone in that direction in terms of buying pants. But in the last 6 months, I'm definitely vibing with old school blouses, right? Like I'm really liking that energy. You'll see in the video that we're gonna post. In this video, like what you're gonna see in the vlog is that I was wearing a black blouse and I was looking at more blouses in terms of like, that's definitely what I'm looking for in terms of my thrift goals. I like to buy more blouses for my vibe. But yeah, so that's how my style has evolved. But also I think at the moment I'm very intentional about looking say salon, like pursuing the aesthetic androgynous look, right? Like just to look like you don't know. Like you don't know. Is this like very ladylike? Is this like very masculine like? Right? So I'm definitely going for like a balance between the two at the moment, especially in terms of tops with my normal guy jeans and sneakers, but have like a very feminine top with my beanie. So the whole look is like a combination or a representation of who I am as a non-binary person. It's kind of like, yeah, no, like all of those items, that one's like very masculine, that was very feminine. Also like gender, but whatever. Yeah, so that's definitely where I am right now in terms of my aesthetic, and my stylistic journey. I'm very excited about that. Like I'm more committed now than I have been in my whole life to how I look. Very active about it. Yeah, kind of like pushing the boundaries, my own mental boundaries. It also has nothing to do with anyone else except giving myself permission to be complex in how I present myself, but also a lot about, do I feel this fit as a whole or not, right? So that's definitely where I am. Yeah, that's about it, man. I went from the rules saying I must look very feminine to the church saying I must look very feminine. And yeah, I just grew into myself and kind of being like, but it really doesn't matter. What matters is comfort and how comfortable I am in my skin and how I want to present myself, and a lot about how I feel, you know, like I feel a lot of my outfits out. Like today, I definitely wanted to wear the look I was wearing in the vlog. But like when I got up, I was like, no way, I'm not wearing jeans. Like it's not happening. I'm not wearing jeans, and I'm definitely not wearing black. So yeah, that's also a factor in how I dress now. It's definitely feeling the outfit out, feeling how I look. And if I feel like I really don't want to dress up, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm not happy on that day. It just means I'm not invested in dressing up. So yeah, that's been my journey, and it's like it's constantly growing, it's constantly evolving. And yeah, I just thought I should sit down and like share that with you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope you like, comment, and subscribe. And also, I'd really, really like it if you shared this video with other people. And yeah, comment down below, how has your style journey been? How's it been going? Is how you dress a representation of your sexuality? Is that important? Is it like whatever and you just wear what you wear? Has it been difficult to go into certain sections of the store and you feel like, oh man, maybe they're gonna see me in there? Also, something I didn't touch on is like sometimes I think for me it was like very terrifying to shop in the men's section because I felt like that was a way I was outing myself in some way. So there was like a very hyper cautiousness in terms of that. So yeah, guys, man, share your experiences in terms of how your style has evolved, if it has, and if it hasn't, how has it been generally? Yeah, I'd appreciate hearing your thoughts on that. Ngizani Bona next time.
Sweet like inganyezi engithela uthando lugcwele yimi angisazi yazi yasifela me yasifela me wentombi ngiyakuthanda me ngiyakuthanda me wesifili ngiyakuthanda me yasifela me hey bathu kuhle bendalo bendalo 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 seba funi lobola seba funi lobola okwenganyezi